All right, so if you're ready to begin, what you're going to need is a big assortment of same weight scraps. So here, I just have 4 for now because I don't want to crowd my table up that I'm working on. But you can see that my scraps kind of vary a lot in color. So I have a really bold blue here, and then I have a more subdued pink, and then I go all the way to orange, and then here I have like a darker color. So I have a mix between darks and lights, and that's going to produce the best fabric for this little pumpkin. You're going to need a 4.5 millimeter needle. I'm working a smaller circumference pumpkin, but if you are wanting to work the larger pumpkin that I have pictured, you're going to want at least a 16-inch circular needle. Then you're going to need a stitch marker. So like I said, I'm going to be working a smaller circumference so I can give you guys the gist of the pattern because it's very simple once you get it down. So what I'm going to do is just arbitrarily pick one of these. I'll do the blue since it's on the left here. And I'm going to move these others out of the way. And I'm going to cast on some stitches here. Now I want enough to go around. I don't know how much that's going to be, so I'm going to just start casting on and I'll let you know the total at the end. If you're wanting to do the larger pumpkin, you're going to cast on 100 stitches. Now you can do whatever size pumpkin you want as long as you do the cast on in increments of 4. So let's go ahead and get started. This might be a little loud here with this hitting the table every once in a while, so just bear with me. That got wonky. Let me redo that. This is really bothering me. There you go. Okay, so I've got 2, 3, 4. So increments of 4. I'm not going to count aloud because I don't want to mess up your counting. All right, I'm going to go off camera and finish casting on, and I'll see you back in a second. All right, so I've got 60 cast-ons here from my small circumference needles, and I've gone ahead and cast on one more stitch at the end here to give me a total of 61, and I'll show you why here in a second. I'm going to show you how to do a really easy invisible join. So you want to make sure that all of your stitches, the bottom of them, are on the inside and they're not twisted. So a twisted stitch or a twisted loop can look something like this. So if you see something like this going on, then just turn it to where all of those face on the inside. Now to do your invisible join, you're going to want to make sure that the working yarn is coming from the right hand side here, and you're going to want to slip this last stitch over and do it purlwise. And then you're going to take this stitch, this extra stitch we cast on, you're going to grab that and you're going to pull it over. It's okay if it stretches out. And then instead of keeping it on this needle, you're just going to drop it right off so it sits right between those stitches. And then what you can do is you can grab this yarn, both your yarns down here, and pull. And when you pinch and pull like that, you have a seamless join. So now you've joined in the round and you can't see the join. Beautiful. Take your stitch marker, place it on. And now you're ready to start work. To begin this pattern, we're going to be working 2 colors. So we want to move this color, which is going to be our knit color, over to the right, and then we want to pick a color here that we want to work with for our purl stitches. So I'm going to choose this orange color. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my hand up to start knitting. So if you're an English style knitter, this is going to be very comfy. But if you're a continental, it might be a little weird at first. I'm a continental and it was weird for me, but after I got into the rhythm, it really starts to just flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit 2 stitches. Now this first row can be tricky. I have my 2 stitches knit here. Now I had to pause for a second because something happened here I had to take care of. All right, so I've got my 2 stitches knit. Now I'm going to add in the purl color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch with the end that's not live, not going to the ball. I'm going to pinch that in my fingers on my right hand, and then I'm going to purl 2 stitches. So this can be the fiddly part. Just bear with it. This first row is the trickiest one. Oh, get over there. Okay, so now we've purled our 2 stitches. Now we're going to knit 2, and we're going to knit with that blue color. So 1, 2, and then we're going to purl 2 with the orange color. Purl, purl. And we're going to repeat just like that all the way around. And don't worry if throwing the yarn with your right hand seems a little strange at first. Your body is learning a new skill, so give it a little patience. And then before you know it, you're going to be zooming through this. And it's a great, great practice to learn color work without having to do like a huge sweater or a complicated mitt. So you're just knitting in the round using 2 colors. And before you know it, you're doing color work. So that's something to be very proud of. All right, so I'm just going to keep going around just like so. Knitting and purling, alternating those colors. And you can do this with as many colors as you want or as few as you want. If you just wanted to do a 2-tone pumpkin to where it was just like this, 2 very contrasting colors, by all means, do what you want. I just like the checkerboard and the fact that this uses up so much of that little scrap yarn we have laying around that we might not get the opportunity to use otherwise, especially used in such a creative and fun way. So this pumpkin will be part of my Halloween decor this year, and I'm super excited about that. And it's always fun to find a super exciting pattern to use scraps on. So I'm going to finish out and go all the way around, and then I'll meet you when you get back over here. All right, so I've made it back around to the beginning of the round, and I'm going to keep going. So what you're going to do is keep working that knit in the blue, purl in the orange. Of course, it'll be whatever colors you have, but the knit 2, purl 2, keep going all the way around and do 5 rows. So we've just done row 1. So I'm going to go ahead and complete 4 more rows of this, and then I'll meet you back here. All right, so now we've done 5 rows, and if you ever get lost and you can't tell, I'm going to show you how to count your stitches here real quick because it's not intuitive. So just pull your fabric out a little bit and get somewhere around here. Don't get at the beginning or at the end. Get somewhere around here where the stitches are just naturally just chilling there. And then you're going to pull a little bit and you're going to see these V's. So you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is your 5th stitch. So you do count this one here. So we've got 5 rows of the blue and the orange. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the blue. Let me pull these here so I don't cut those accidentally. So I'm going to cut this blue. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail so I can weave in that end. So the blue is cut. Let's go ahead and pull this down into the middle here. Now we're going to take our orange and we're going to move it over here because that now becomes our knit stitch. And then we're going to take another color. So I'm going to choose this pinky color here. And then we're going to go ahead and start. So let's go ahead and do our knit stitches. So the orange is now the knit stitch. So we're just shifting that color over. So we've got knit, knit, and that blue stitches, those blue ones can get a little wonky because we just cut them off. So don't worry about that. We'll fix that in the next row. So now we've got our 2 knit stitches. I'm going to go ahead and add in my pearl color here. And I'm going to purl 2. And then I'm just going to keep going like that. So I'm going to pull that tail down in here so it doesn't get all mixed up with the rest of the colors, if I can get it in there. So you are going to have a lot of tails, and that's fine. It's just part of the pumpkin process. So now let's keep going. Knit 2 with the orange, and then purl 2 with the pink. Knit 2 with the orange, purl 2 with the pink. And we basically just repeat the same thing we did for the blue and orange, but this time we've added in a new color and we've shifted colors over one. Now, if you don't want to shift the colors, you're more than welcome to add in brand new colors for both, but I just kind of like the way that looks. So that's why I did it that way. You can do whatever you want though, it's your pumpkin. So now you can do this in whatever weight yarn you want to do. So if you want a bulky pumpkin, you can do a bulky pumpkin. If you want a fingering weight pumpkin, you can do a fingering weight pumpkin. Just what I suggest is go up 1 needle size, that 1 needle size more than what's recommended on the ball band. So for these, I believe it's recommended 3.25 to 3.75 because I'm using DK weight. So I just went up to a 4.5. So I just went up 1 right in the middle. Because this fabric can be a little bit denser because you are working color work. And that tends to be a little bit tighter for some reason, for me at least. If your color work isn't, then by all means, just go ahead and do what you feel best. But I found that going up 1 needle size is generally going to give me a good little fabric for my pumpkin. All right, so you're going to want to do 5 rows now of this color combination. When you get to the end here, that blue stitch is going to be a little bit wonky. That's okay, just find your blue and pull it. And then just continue on as you were. And then make sure when you get here, you're doing your orange when you're starting over again here at the beginning of the round. You're doing your orange as your knit stitch. I'm going to go ahead and do 5 rows here of this color combination, and I'll see you back. All right, so I'm back to the beginning of the round again, And you can see now, look how beautiful that is. Does that not just tickle you to death? Okay, anyways, so I'm back to the beginning of the round. So what I want to do is go ahead and cut the color that I'm knitting with. So the color that I'm making those knit stitches with, I'm just going to snip that and move that off to the side. So now I'm going to bring this little thread down in the middle. So once we start going and getting a bunch of colors, it's going to get confusing. So now I'm going to take my color that I'm purling with and I'm going to move it over into the knit position. And then I'm going to grab another color and get ready for that. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat just like I did before. I always get those fingers mixed up when I'm trying to put my knit color on. And I'm going to knit 2 stitches. 1, 2, and then I'm going to add my purl color in. So I'm just going to pinch it here in the back, hold it down, and I'm going to purl 2 stitches. And that's it. That's all you do is just keep going and doing 5 rows, switching your colors, and then adding a new color into the purl section. And then you just keep going just like that. For the large pumpkin, you're going to want to work the fabric until it's 8 inches tall. For this one, I'm not entirely sure yet because I'm making this one on the fly. So if you give me about 2 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and go off camera, knit this up, and then I'll tell you exactly how many inches to work the small pumpkin. All right, so I finished 5 rows of that last color, and I've determined that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeats of this pattern is sufficient enough for this particular size. I think this is going to be fine. I could be wrong, but I'm confident that my pumpkin's going to be nice and squat, because I like the little tiny like squat pumpkins that are wide and short. If you want a taller pumpkin, just do a few more rows and see what that looks like. There's really no way to tell until, unfortunately, until you get the thing bound off and stuffed up. So I'm going to go with this. And if you like the way this turns out, then go ahead and stop here too. If not, just keep going. And then keep working a couple more repeats of that little color shift pattern. All right, so I've cut my knit yarn. I've got that. Let's move that out of the way. And now I'm going to cut a really long tail on this because I'm going to use this to thread. So I'm going to give myself a really long tail and I'm going to cut. So let's move that out of the way. And then I'm going to take my little needle here, a little plastic needle. I'm going to thread them up. I do have these in my shop, shameless plug. But I do have these in my shop here. They come 3 in a pack and it's like 75 cents. So if you don't, I know a lot of places sell them like 500 or like there's a ridiculous amount of these plastic needles. And if you're trying not to like over consume, then I have a little pack that has like 3 or 4 of them in there for like 75 cents. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4. I think it might be 4. Gosh, I can't remember. It's been so long since I made up those little packs. Forgive me, but I think it might be 4. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my needle and I'm just going to go through these stitches. And this is how we're going to bind off. So I'm just going to pop that off and then I'm going to keep going. So you can just pop them right off like this. Let's go ahead and remove that stitch marker too. And then just pull up the thread every once in a while once you get so many on there. And then keep moving your stitches down. And then we're just going to keep doing that all the way around. It's nice the sun decided to come out and join us for this little pumpkin making session. It makes me tired though. I don't know if it should be the complete opposite. Like I should feel invigorated and energized whenever the sun's out, but I just feel tired. I'm just like, I want to take a nap. It's too bright. When it gets cloudy and gloomy looking, then I'm at my happiest. which is strange, right? Maybe I'm just weird. Who knows? So this is going to give you lots and lots of practice with color work, and this is the perfect introduction to color work if you haven't worked it yet. And this is perfect timing too, because if you do this and you're like, man, I've got this color work stuff down, then you're in the perfect season coming up for those knit color work sweaters. Oh, I'm making one this year for sure. I've been wanting to make one for years, and I've just been too intimidated. But now I kind of feel like I've got it down, because I've made 2 of these pumpkins and they don't look bad, right? I think I'm ready for a sweater. Maybe I'll start with some mitts first. So my bucket list, my fall and winter knitting bucket list, which I'm like powering through, I've got the remaining 2 items that I've got to make are a pair of colorwork mitts and a colorwork sweater. So maybe I'll start with the mitts first. All right, let's move these needles off to the side. And we've got our all of our stitches on that thread. So I'm not going to pull it tight yet, because I want to move this out of the way, and I want to flip this inside out because I want to take care of these ends. Now, because this project is going to be like a little stuffy, basically that's what we're making. We're just making a little stuffy. I'm not going to worry too much about weaving all these in, because that would just be a nightmare for me anyways. I'm going to weave in the ones that are isolated. So this one appears isolated all by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and weave that one in. If I can get this yarn in here, I will. Get in there. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to try to be super meticulous about this, because this is not an item I'm going to be wearing. This is not an item that's going to get a lot of like movement. So I'm not worried about these stitches coming out. It's going to be pretty snug in place. So I'm just going to do whatever, right? And I'm not even going to do it that long. And then I'm just going to trim. I'm going to pop that over there. Let me put this on something that's not so loud. I am so sensitive to noise. Okay, so when I come over here to these, they're side by side, I'm just going to tie them loosely. So I'm just going to do like that. I'm not going to pull on the fabric or anything. I'm just going to tie them to where they're not going to come undone. Boop. See how it's not tugging, and it's not pulling, it's not going to pinch that fabric in the front. And then I'm just going to cut a little bit of a longer tail here, like that. I'm going to do that for each one going down. This doesn't have to be perfect. We're never going to see this again once we stuff this pumpkin. Bloop. Look, I even tied that tail into that one. Purely accidental, but I think it's actually pretty smart. All right. I should have one more at the bottom that's going to be by itself, all isolated and lonely down there. And that one I'll go ahead and weave in. Look at me. I'm catching those other tails in there. So that way they don't move. Aha. Sneaky Pete. See? We're saving some time. All right, so we've got these 2. I don't think, am I going to be able to catch that one? No, that was too short. I cut it too short. All right, let's try again. Nope. I caught one fiber. That's all right. It'll be fine. Okay. It's bloop. Actually, we've got 2 down here. I thought there was just 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again. We'll catch that one on the second go round. I have the loudest printer in the history of the world. I have it set up to where every time I get an order, it just automatically prints the order for me on paper. And it always sounds like there's something falling in my office. I'm like, what is that? And it's like, oh, it's the printer. I just got an order. Goodness gracious. Okay, so now we've got all of our little ends taken care of. So what I'm going to do is once again flip this back on the outside. But hold on, listen, look at that. That would make a cute little pumpkin too, wouldn't it? Stop it. Hush. Okay, that's not the point of the video. Okay, so now I'm going to take another bit of yarn here. Once again, we're going to do it pretty long. So I've got quite a bit here. I'm going to thread this up. All right, it's threaded. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave this in. So I've got it in this way. I'm going to just pull back in, staying under those yellow stitches, because that's going to be my guide. And I'm just going to go weaving in through here like this. And then I'm going to pull a little bit through here, leaving a long tail. I'm just going to keep weaving all the way around, staying under those yellow little stitches back here. Well, they're not technically stitches, they're just floats, I guess. Get out of there, Sneaky Pete. He turned orange on me, now I'm confused. It doesn't take much to confuse me. So this is going to create a little like drawstring type cinchy. You can already see it's kind of pulling together. But that's what we want, because we want to cinch it up. I hope I'm in frame. I am. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, so now we're back at the beginning, and I can see where the beginning is here. So I'm just going to make sure to go into that same hole, so I can have like a good starting and ending point. All right, so I'm going to leave that there, and then I'm just going to pull as tight as I can. Tight, tight, tight. You know what? Shove that down in there. Make sure your little ties that you've done are shoved down in the bottom. Otherwise, they're going to be poking out. That one doesn't want to stay. Stop it, sir. Please comply. Oh. Okay. So now I'm just going to tie this off. This is going to be the bottom of the pumpkin. If you want to be all professional about it, you can do like other things, but I'm just going to tie it off. Because literally you're not going to see it. Okay. So now I'm going to leave a little bit of a longer tail. I'm not going to cut that actually, because last time I cut it and I regretted it. Okay. So I'm going to take this end that's kind of just hanging out. Let me take this off here. And I'm going to just thread that up through the middle, just to get it out of the way. Make sure not to catch your other fabric, like the sides of the fabric. Make sure not to do that. Oh, look, and that just pulled up that little duder that was being a pain in the butt. Okay. So now just set that in there, leave it alone. So you've got the bottom of your pumpkin. So now you should have like a little cup-like thing here. So you've got this tail coming out, leave that alone, just put it off somewhere to the side. And you've got this coming out the top. So this is your cinchy part up here. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take a bunch of stuffing. So I have, you'd be surprised how much stuffing it takes to fill this thing. What is that? Oh, that was my needle. Okay. So I'm going to just start stuffing. And you're going to want to stuff it firm because you want it to retain its shape once you start making the little pumpkin wedge segments that we're going to make. So I'm just stuffing. And then it's going to need some stuff here at the top as well. So when you cinch it, it's going to, you'll see what I mean. I don't know how to formulate that into words that make sense. Looks like a cute little witch's cauldron at this point. Doesn't it? Maybe I'm just reaching here. Okay, so now we've got the stuffing here. Just gonna make sure pull and push, pull and push. I think I can do a little bit more. Spread it out too, like really just get it. Okay, so now it just looks like a bowl of stuffing, which is fine. This is what we want. So at this point, what you want to do before you cinch this up, go outside and find a stick. Literally, that's all I'm going to do is just walk outside and find a stick. Here, you can come with me. Look, there's one. Perfect. That'll work. I have neighbors out front, so I don't want to go out there. I don't want them thinking I'm weird, although they probably already do. It literally took me 2 seconds to find a stick. It's exactly what I did with the first one too. So I want to put the Sharpie edge down here. And I'm just going to stick that right in the middle like that, right? I'm going to cinch. I'm going to cinch and then push that stuffing down. But I want to make sure that my stick is in the middle. Careful, don't pull too hard if you're using natural fibers, because you'll quick enough break that thread. Oh man, I should have threaded that first. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit for a second. I've got this huge needle. So this is a amigurumi. I never say that right, so don't come for me. But this is a needle that is very long and it's perfect for doing exactly what we're gonna be doing here in a second. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my long tail here and I'm gonna thread it up. Look how pretty that is already. Stop it. I like that green and the brown. It's gorgeous. Okay, so I'm cinching, and then now I'm gonna hold it here. Now this needle's sharp, so if you have one like this, be careful. Gosh, be careful. I've poked myself so many times, and I'm just gonna go around. Don't be too fussy about like, oh, this has to be perfect, because what's gonna happen is when we start making the little wedge, the little wedges, we're going to pull this down into the pumpkin, so it's not going to be too big of a deal. I just unthreaded my needle because I was too enthusiastic about that. Okay. So honestly, I don't have a formula for this. Just sew it shut. I'm not an amigurumi expert. It's not my main forte here. Okay, so now, oh, stay in there. So now we've got this. So I'm gonna go ahead and like just shape the pumpkin a little bit. So you can see it's kind of looking a little weird right now. It just looks like a flying saucer with a stick coming out the top of it. And that's not the look we're going for. So what I'm going to do is move this duder out of the way because it's becoming increasingly frustrating to deal with that. And now what I'm going to do is just stick this right down into the middle, and I'm going to make sure it comes out of the bottom. So it's coming out of that bottom hole. And I'm going to pull, right? What is this? What's happening? Stop it, dude. Okay, now I'm going to pull, and I'm going to pull really tight. And then I'm going to wrap it up, and I like to put it, kind of guide it along the knit column, right? And then I'm going to just, so I've got it coming from under, up and around, and I'm going to just push down and get that needle right back in the middle again. Let's move this thing out of the way. And then when I get it like that, I'm just going to tug, right? So now I've created just a little dimple right there. Isn't that cute? Okay. So now I'm going to hold that with my thumb. So I've got the pressure, I've pulled it tight and I'm holding the pressure with my thumb, and I'm going to find where I want my next ridge. So I think I want to, let's do it right here. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 columns. I'm just going to pull that up, follow that column with that thread. And I'm going to come back, push down, hold the tension, otherwise you're going to lose your pull tight wedge thing going on here. Make sure you don't go around the stick because you don't want to pull it out, and then just pull tight. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, the pumpkin's coming along. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do that one more time. Well, not one more time, I'm lying. I'm going to do it a couple more times. And then I'm going to poke through. Now it's going to get a little bit harder to poke this thing through because you're building up a lot of fluff and you're building up a lot of thread. So please don't jab yourself in the hand. Make sure your fingers are out of the way of the hole down there at the bottom. Oh, and here's another thing to look out for. Make sure that you're pulling, like if you have your needle threaded, make sure your other end here doesn't get caught up in there because it's going to be a pain in the butt and you're going to lose a lot of length. Okay, so now pull that tight and then count again. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to thread it right along the edge of that third one. I actually don't know how many ridges there are, so this might be entirely uneven, but it's a pumpkin. Pumpkins aren't completely even. I'm not going to stress about it. All right, pull tight. So we've got our little wedges coming into play now. All right, and then we're going to do, it looks like we've only got one more. Okay. So now I'm going to push that needle down into there. Oh gosh, the last one's always the hardest one. It could be hard because I'm trying to poke into that wood too. So be careful you're not trying to poke in through the wood. I actually don't need that other tail. I thought I was going to need it. Okay. So now this is going to be wonky. That's okay. That's fine. As long as you're not throwing your pumpkins around, you're going to be perfectly fine. It will stay in there. So now pull tight, hold that there, and then just get it where you can, right? So now we're going to cinch that up, and we've got our loop where we were holding it. Here's where we poked into the thread or into the fabric to cinch it. I'm going to go up just like that and pinch. Now I'm going to hold it again. I'm going to do that a couple times. Actually, I'm going to take my stick out. I can always stick that back in there. So someone's probably going to comment and be like, that looks like crap on the bottom. Guess what? We're not going to be looking at the bottom of the pumpkin. If you've got a better method for doing it, then by all means do it that way. But I'm not a perfectionist in this instance. I just want a cute little pumpkin. No one's ever going to see the bottom of it. And I think it looks fine. Ow. You will poke yourself, I promise. Okay, so I've done that a couple of times. It seems pretty secure. So now I've got my other end here. I've got this end. And now I'm just going to give it a good tie. Let me trim this. I thought I was going to need that other length of yarn for more wedges because I did on the other one. But I think it was just because I cut the yarn so short. I was not prepared for how many wedges I had to make in the large one that I made. Oh gosh, there were so many wedges. Okay, so I'm just going to tie a bunch of little knots here. And I'm going to take my needle, thread it through. I'm just going to poke it in here. This pumpkin turned out really well. And I'm going to try to get up through there, just like that. And then I'm going to pull it up, pull it tight, like really tight. And then I'm just going to trim it, and then it'll pop back in there. Water break. I don't know why I'm sweating so much right now. Making pumpkins is sweaty work. Apparently. We've got the AC to like 69. And I've got a vent right over top of me. Doesn't make any sense. Okay. once again. Try not to mess your stitches up when you do this, because the needle sometimes likes to just cause a ruckus when it comes out. No, sir. Go in between. Okay. Well, this is a testament to how strong these needles are that I sell. I did not break it. Boop, boop. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Now we gotta stick our stick back in here. Okay. Get away, stick dirt. And look at our pumpkin. Oh my goodness. Stop it. Here, let's get a different angle. Let me get rid of this fluff. I've got so much fluff. Let me not put it where my dog will eat it. Where is that? Oh, here he comes. Sir, mind your business. I'll put it right there. Great, now it's got my hair in it. It's so gross. Okay. All right. There is our cute little pumpkin. Oh my goodness, did you make one? Or were you just watching me? Oh my gosh, if you made one, tag me on Instagram. I want to see your pumpkin. Here, let me go get the other one too. All right, and there's the 100 stitch pumpkin. So if you cast on 100 stitches, this is what size you'll get. And see, I could have put a lot more stuffing in it because it's got like a little bit more room up here at the top. But aren't they adorable? Stop it. Oh, this is so cute. Hold on, let's move this and we'll get a shot for the thumbnail. Boom, got it. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you make a beautiful little pumpkin for your fall decor. If it did, hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you thought, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm constantly doing weird stuff like this and putting up free patterns of stuff that I make, and I would love to have you hang out with me. All right, until next time, bye.